Three fast boats sprint at a U.S. carrier before sunrise. No shots. No speeches. Just a liquid wall of hulls at 28 knots trying to pin the George Washington in place. So how did one destroyer crack that wall without firing? In the next minutes you'll see how USS Gravely used a single curve, a quiet tilt of steel and sensors, and a Seahawk overhead to force a decision at the 12-mile line. If you think speed wins sea fights, watch how geometry wins standoffs. What would you do at that distance? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. They didn't jam a thing. No flares, no warnings. They built a wall of water, held 28 knots, and drove it straight at a carrier because the number that matters out here isn't speed, it's 12.
Told Scripps News that the move is part of President Donald Trump's effort to combat those threats from Latin American drug cartels. Some news outlets also reporting that the ship should arrive there imminently off the coast of Venezuela. So this will bring the military posture to about...
Before first light, 3 Venezuelan patrol craft fanned out and slid into a tight arc ahead of USS George Washington's lane. Not a random rush. A trained set. Bow waves stacked, wakes aligned, throttle steady. One boat high, one low, one center mass. That arc didn't need gunfire to speak. It said move, yield, or brace for contact you can't deny. Here's the taboo. Inside 12 nautical miles of a carrier, posture hardens. Outside, you can shadow and test.
Guided missile destroyers, the USS Gravely, USS Jason Dunham, and the USS Sampson are being deployed in these efforts with 4,000 sailors and Marines. And the broader region will also have several P-8 spy planes. He said in this televised address on Monday that we will, quote, defend our seas, our skies, and our lands. We liberated them. We guard and patrol them.
Inside, you trigger decisions, maneuver packages, laddered warnings, layers of deterrent that come online whether anyone says a word or not. Cross it, and you turn seamanship into policy. The geometry was cold. The boats ran parallel arcs that narrowed the carrier's future lane, squeezing time and space until the straightest path became the riskiest one. No ramming required. Keep the arcs true, hold rate of closure, and you compress the carrier's options to 3, slow, turn, or invite a near miss that no bridge wants on the tape. That's how you blockade without the word blockade. See, body language did the talking. Throttle discipline meant no hunting revs, just fixed RPM that signals intent. Bow angles held 2, maybe 3 degrees off the carrier's projected track, a cue that they weren't sightseeing. Formation spacing stayed tight enough to read as coordinated, loose enough to deny a single intercept solution. Those choices are a dialect sailors understand. Up top, the Seahawk orbited. MH-60 are in a measured circle, not menacing, not casual.
Now, there are 3 guided missile destroyers deploying off the coast of Venezuela.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro announcing on Monday that his country will mobilize more than 4 million militia members.
It extended the carrier's eyes, painted a quiet halo over the scene, and made one point clear: every move was seen, recorded, and ready to be answered in layers. The rotor wash and the fixed altitude created a visible loop that said, we're here, and we're calm. The carrier group matched restraint with control. Sensors took in closure rates, bow aspect, and track quality. No loud hail on the net. No searchlights splashing the water. The big deck held course and speed like a metronome while watch teams stacked contingencies in silence. Calm is its own deterrent when the tape matters. Speed looks loud, but it doesn't win this kind of fight by itself. Patrol boats can surge, but surge burns lane choice. At high knots you lose the fine cuts.
To take this to the next level and consider strike packages against the regime in Venezuelan territory.
And what it could mean for Venezuela. In late August, the U.S. ordered 3 warships into the Caribbean.
If geometry denies you the path, more throttle only pins you to a losing line faster. The wall was fast, yes, but the lane it needed was getting thinner with every yard. The 12-mile mark, then. Not a magic law bubble. A trigger. Hit it, and you push doctrine from standby to execute, air on station, guns trained to safe bearing, hulls shifting from courtesy rules to collision avoidance backed by command guidance. The Venezuelan trio aimed for that switch. Pressure, not collision. For nearly a minute, the file held. Engines loud, radios quiet. Crews on both sides knew how fast a wake can become a case study. The first hull to seize the tilt would write the next chapter: who yields, who stands, and who owns the pivot point that dictates everyone else's math. If speed can't force a carrier to bow, placement can.
The U.S. has slowly been building up a large military presence in the Caribbean near Venezuela.
There are designated narco-terrorist groups operating in the region, some of them utilizing international airspace, international waters.
A single steel hull, set at the right angle, can turn the shortest path into the most costly one. Watch how a destroyer steps into that gap, curves once, and makes the wall choose between pride and position. A destroyer doesn't race small boats. It erases their best move. Gravely holds the carrier's right, a beam and offset, the quiet bulk that guards the lane. Ahead, the Venezuelan trio press in, hulls tight, bows trimmed just inside the carrier's projected track. They're reading the same math: closure, drift, turn radius. They know the straight line is king if they can keep it open for 30 more seconds. But then the fork hits. If Gravely stays straight, the arc seals and the carrier must bend. If Gravely charges, the risk spikes and everyone loses options at once. The answer isn't a lunge. It's a curve, slow, deliberate, and placed where the wall can't ignore it. The tilt starts with a few degrees of rudder, enough to pull the destroyer off a parallel escort and onto a shallow intercept.
Told Scripps News that the move is part of President Donald Trump's effort to combat those threats from Latin American drug cartels. Some news outlets also reporting that the ship should arrive there imminently off the coast of Venezuela. So this will bring the military posture to about...
Not a slash across the bows, not a show of nerve. It's a drawn S that slides across the boat's preferred lane, the exact strip of water they need to keep their pressure line clean. Now their helmsmen face new math. Hold speed and meet steel at a bad angle, or ease and let the geometry die. This is why timing beats thrust. You don't have to touch. You just have to claim the pivot point, the one patch of sea where everyone else must pick hazard or yield. Gravely takes it with hull and heading. The curve is visible, predictable, and legal, which makes it harder to fight without looking reckless on the tape. Layered deterrent fills in the picture. Topside, the 5-inch Mark 45 trains to a safe offset, not at a head, not at a heart, but in a way every mariner reads as a wake. The barrel doesn't need a voice to say, "We're set, don't force us to turn keys." Overhead, the Seahawk keeps its orbit tight and steady. The rotor roar marks the bubble. Its sensors map wake patterns and bow flares that forecast intent, feeding a net that lets the ship drive with confidence. Think of a set play.
What message is the U.S. sending?
Well, I think the U.S. is sending the message that it's willing to put some of its best assets both in the air and at sea.
A MEU consists of about 2,200 Marines and sailors who operate from ships with air and ground attack capabilities. A Marine Expeditionary Unit, or MEU, deployed to the Caribbean and began exercises.
In basketball, you don't have to steal the ball to break a drive. You set a pick, plant your body, angle your stance. You don't shove, you make the highway a toll road. Gravely sets that pick on the sea. The carrier's lane is now screened by steel, and the shortest route for the intruders comes with a price they don't want to pay on camera. Small boats love chaos, quick snaps, tight turns, last-second feints. But when a corridor narrows and a destroyer owns the hinge, agility turns into noise. The window to dart through shrinks, and the penalty for misread timing is a hard bow-on-plate meeting that no bridge crew can justify. Options drop away. Pride runs into physics. Command discipline holds the line. No sirens. No horn blasts. No radio chest thumping. Watch standers call bearings and rates in clipped voices. Helm follows orders by the degree. Combat tracks ranges, sets ladders of response that stop well short of triggers. Calm posture, hard angles. You can see the moment the wall wavers. One patrol craft twitches off its line, throttle breathes, wake flares wide. The center boat hesitates because its partner just shortened the spacing that made the arc credible. Keep speed and risk a scrape that stains the narrative, or ease and keep face while letting the line sag. They try to do both. They lose the geometry. The blockade cadence breaks. The carrier keeps her lane. Gravely resets to parallel, having spent only a curve and a stare. Guns stayed cold. The message did not. So what changed? You're watching posture flip without a shot. And when barrels stay trained but quiet, you should start reading what that silence means about rules, thresholds, and the next move waiting just outside the camera frame. Own the pivot, own the fight. In gray zone waters, placement beats speed. Secure the key tilt and you steer the script without a shot. Gravely proved it: silent guns, loud geometry. Your move at 12 miles, hold straight, surge, or tilt. Comment your choice below. If you want the mindset that wins standoffs, subscribe now. This community trains the eye to read posture, not just throttle. Discipline, angles, and timing decide who yields. Next time, we'll break down how a hello overhead can flip a surface clash before a trigger touches metal. One orbit, one cue, and an entire lane starts to move.